I have friends around the country that play pickleball. And whenever I travel, it'd be so much fun to travel with my paddle. And it's a lot smaller than a tennis racket. But be able to like meet up with them at a court and just...
Travel with your paddle.
It sounds like that sounds like a good podcast. If there were ever any other podcasts out there.
Yeah. It's for the pickleball dominatrix. It's travel with your paddle.
Welcome to Garage Sales Unhinged,
where the characters are as quirky as the vines.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Jake.
Join us as we dive into the wild world of garage sales, yard sales, estate sales, and anywhere secondhand sales are happening.
From bizarre bargains to hilarious haggles.
You won't believe the stories we've got lined up.
Let's get unhinged.
Welcome to the podcast of just breathing heavy.
But it's ASMR.
Yeah. That is not ASMR. That is creepo creep.
Hi, Julie.
There we go. I like to hear that pep in your step.
Welcome to Garage Sales Unhinged, the only... Wait, start over.
No.
Welcome to Garage Sales Unhinged, the only podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jake. The other host is somebody named Julie, and she's in the same room as me. Hi, Julie.
Hi, this is the only podcast.
It's the only one.
The other ones are fake.
What other ones? There are no other ones. This is the only podcast. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How's everything going?
Good. It's 2025.
It is.
We're recording this in 2024, but it's the future now.
Yeah, no, we're doing a kind of a time warp again.
Everyone's dancing.
There you go. Yeah. I am wearing, a brassiere, but we don't have to talk about why. So, how are you?
Well, now I'm picturing my brother with a brassiere, so not very good.
2025, it's a nice, easily divisible number. I like when fives are involved because I can do that because nickels, dimes, quarters.
Wow.
I was trained for this moment. This is...
The simplicity moment.
This is the year of simpletons. It absolutely is.
Man, that feels good. This is my year.
New year. New start. Do you do New Year's resolutions?
No, but I do set annual goals.
Why do you have to talk as though you're a business insights book?
Because resolutions don't have... I actually just did a business video on this topic, so you're about to get what I just put out there. So a resolution doesn't have a time commitment. It's more of a wish. Okay. Jacob just
I just toned out immediately.
He did. If he could evaporate into air, he would have done it right then.
Right.
So a resolution is more of a wish and a desire, but there's no game plan behind it. And a goal has a plan behind it.
How? I can make, look, my goal today is to put on some pants and take out the trash. That's the goal, at some point.
Well, the goal has to include a timeline.
Okay.
So, would you like to hear one of my personal goals for 2025?
I don't know, because you're really boring already.
But it's the only podcast.
You're right. People have no choice. It's a captive audience. All the other podcasts have been outlawed. They've been canceled. And this is the only podcast. So,
now I'm
piss, fart, poop. You have to deal with it.
Well, where are we going? Why weren't we outcasted? What's different about us?
So what are your New Year's goals? So
one of my goals is I want to enter into a pickleball tournament in 2025.
Oh, okay.
So that's a very simple goal, the way that I position that. And what that looks like is that means I need to... Granted, I could just sign up for a pickleball tournament and be done with it. However, I have a little bit of an ego and I want to do well in the tournament. So that looks like I need to be practicing my pickleball. I might need to find a partner if I decide to do doubles pickleball. I may be joining a pickleball location near my house so I can get in some drills and some coaching. And then they also have tournaments so I can sign up for one of their tournaments. So it's one of those things by entering into a tournament, it encourages me to do all these other things that I'm interested in.
You're like, oh, it's real now.
Yeah.
I gotta get kind of serious. And and so you
I didn't lose at fantasy football, and I got to enter a pickleball tournament with no practice. Like,
yeah, you're voluntarily pursuing this.
Yes.
This is not a punishment.
No.
You're just wanting to do it. Never have played pickleball. I know it's the yuppie thing to do right now.
for a former tennis player, it is wonderful on my joints.
You know what? So Julie was kind of a monster on tennis courts.
Thank you for clarifying, monster.
Yes. I remember. Okay, so at some point in your high school tennis career, you started recruiting me to go to the court with you, and it was an absolute. Well, like you volunteering me, right?
Yeah.
To wake up extra early on school day mornings or something like that, or maybe weekends. I don't know, but it was
Weekends.
early. And schlep to some tennis courts so you could hit things at me.
Well, okay, so...
Why did you pick me? Why?
Because our oldest brother had already moved out of the house
He's
at that point.
He's 3 years older than me, 4 years older than you, so
Yeah.
he wasn't available for that.
Yeah, and Mom and Dad weren't going to do it. And also, like, we grew up in the country, so, like, what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
And also, okay, I don't like getting up early and doing things. I like getting up early and spending the morning how I want to spend it, which is usually, now it's, back then I didn't drink coffee, but now it's drinking a cup of coffee. I read my book. I read marketing news. I'm a nerd. There's not a lot of get up and go. Most mornings I do work out, but that is, I'm listening to my audiobook. We've already had a whole conversation about the audiobook and working out. So, but back then, it was, one, I like spending time with you, Jake. Jacob and I are 15 months apart in age. Don't know, I mean, I know how our parents did it. I don't know why they did that. What did you say earlier? Piss, poop, fart? Like,
Piss, poop, fart, yeah.
Yeah.
Pee, pee, poo, poo.
So, but I remember I would get you, and sometimes Richie would join us, and we would go out to the tennis courts at night, which I'm sure the people that lived around the tennis courts hated us.
Because you'd show up back then, you could go walk into the tennis court
and turn on the lights.
At any hour. It wasn't locked up. And you go and you turn the giant knob that would power on these gigantic...
miniature suns.
Yes. Yeah.
And we would go out there, and like this would be at midnight, 1 a.m. And we would go, like, okay, I knew how to play tennis. You guys did not. But...
How dare you? Like, I thought I was holding my own.
No, you weren't.
When no one was looking.
Including me.
Oh.
But we would go out there and just have a freaking ball of hitting a tennis ball around. It's kind of like whenever people take their dogs to a tennis court. Don't do this, people. I hate that. But they would take their dog to a tennis court and just hit the ball around. The dog chases it. It's kind of like how we were playing quote-unquote tennis, and it's just... There was no lines. There was no net. It was just hit the ball, run as hard as you can to try to get it before it bounced 3 times. And yeah, we made our own games.
I wish it would be kind of more of a sanctioned thing for the sport to allow dogs. Because I would love it if you're watching Wimbledon or something like that. And it's a competition between the two tennis professionals, but also between the ball boy or ball girl and a Labrador over here. They're both going after it, man. That'd be great.
But you know, like, does the Labrador get pinged for points if it pees on the court? Because, like, but also, like, with the ball, people also get pinged for points if they pee on the court?
It depends if it's over the line. Yeah. If it's over the line.
Yeah.
Well,
where's this going?
Well, pickleball, I understand it's like a intense form of tennis. But you've gotten, so like, you're committing to your goal. Your
Don't make fun of my goal.
Your goal is to sign up and participate in a pickleball tournament. Mm-hmm. Have you ever played it before?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
I've never played in a tournament before, but about once a month I'll go and play with friends. And I would like to be playing more often, and part of it is I just need to get into the habit and also find something a little bit closer to me and stuff like that. So having that goal helps me get into that habit, helps me play pickleball more often. And then also I have friends around the country that play pickleball. And whenever I travel, it'd be so much fun to travel with my paddle. And it's a lot smaller than a tennis racket. But be able to like meet up with them at a court and just
Travel with your paddle. It sounds
man,
like
that sounds like a good podcast. If there were ever any other podcast out there.
Yeah. It's for the pickleball dominatrix. It's travel with your paddle. Well, there you go. Pee-poo. 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 That's what we do.
Is that our new Teletubby? Pee-poo.
Pee-poo. The only podcast, the only poopcast.
Oh, this is going down so far.
Are you planning a garage sale, yard sale, or estate sale and need some help? Look no further than Garage Sale Supply. They provide top-notch resources and expert advice to help you host the perfect sale. From pricing tips to promotional strategies, they've got you covered. Visit GarageSaleSupply.com and make your next sale a success.
So, New Year's resolutions, new beginnings, 2025, and we're all feeling fantastic about how things are going. But on that theme, you're familiar with Goodwill. We all are. You're probably familiar with Goodwill in some way. Have you heard about the Goodwill prison program?
No.
That started here recently. There's a correctional facility in California, Milpitas, I think I'm saying that right. They've worked out a program where Goodwill has opened up a retail store inside a women's correctional facility.
Interesting.
Now, it's not a full-blown commercial thing. What this actually is a actual recreation of a Goodwill retail setup inside this facility where inmates can work. You know, it's one of those things where you gotta earn the right to participate in this thing. But they work inside of it. I'm not sure if it's like an extension of a commissary where inmates can, purchase things from it, during their sentence. But inmates do work in it as part of a kind of a vocational program. They get retail training in an actual retail space. So there's actual clothes on racks and hangers. There's shoes on shelves. There's an actual working register. And they go through a whole big training program. And that's not new necessarily for correctional facilities. There's a lot of vocational programs. What's kind of unique about this is that the lengths to which the local sheriff's office and Goodwill have partnered to go to create this sort of atmosphere and this sort of experience. So it's not just, sitting down in a classroom and looking at a board and trying to learn how retail works or anything like that. You're actually doing it. What's even cooler about it is that at the end of an inmate's sentence, often what happens is your sentence is over unless you've got a support system, somebody to pick you up, bring you stuff, clothes, basic furniture, groceries, or something, a place to even go. Re-entry into society can be a tough thing, really tough. It's like nobody's set up for success.
I know a lot of released inmates will go into a halfway house, and sometimes the halfway house is not a really good environment, but it's supposed to be that stepping stone for them to get their own place. But I don't know if you've seen the price of rent these days, but that is a ginormous amount of money that someone who may not have steady income coming in right away can afford. Totally.
And this, that gets into the whole conversation of like, hey, these things are set up so that it becomes a totally rotating door kind of thing.
Right.
Right. What's cool about this program is not just that they provide the training, but that at the end of the inmate's sentence, they're able to go and grab, a number of things for free out of that Goodwill setup.
That's awesome.
It's actually equipped with, actual materials, goods, shoes and clothes and whatnot, so that it eases that re-entry into society. They've got, if you just want to grab a bunch of athleisure, you can, if it's there. You want to grab, you've been to some Goodwills, we all have. Mm-hmm. Whoa, here's this crazy brand.
Yeah.
That's there too. So these ladies are able to go and get professional wear.
That's awesome.
So that when they get out, that's one less thing they got to worry about. You can, go on an interview. You can look this way, and you've got the knowledge of working retail
Yeah.
from that whole experience. Pretty damn cool.
It's also one of those things that if their system is doing that as part of a reward for good behavior or being a good inmate, it also makes you look at work as rewarding. Where I think where the general population, we may look at work as a burden, but for people that haven't been the opportunity to work, for them, they're like, no, this is great. I want to go because this gets me to a better life. And so it's a pretty cool program.
It is pretty cool. So it's really cool. I think it's nice along the theme of like second chances and new starts and everything like that.
Which is kind of the whole Goodwill vibe of you going buying something from Goodwill, you're giving something a second chance at making your house prettier, dressing up your wardrobe a little bit.
Yeah, there's something really kind of wholesome and rewarding in ways beyond yourself when it comes to participating in a secondhand economy.
Yeah.
I'll say. So I've never worked retail. Have you?
Oh yeah.
Where'd you work?
It was up in Colorado. When I lived up there, I worked in a Kirkland's.
What is a Kirkland's? I've seen it. I don't know what it is.
It's kind of like a at home. It's like home decor stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I would never have gone in it.
Yeah, guys don't usually shop for home decor.
No.
So.
No. Like,
you weren't our average customer.
Your home decor as a guy is what you buy that from PlayStation. Like, that's
exactly. Our oldest nephew just got into his own apartment with some friends, and apparently he has the bare minimum in his apartment, and his sister is appalled by it. I'm going, it's a dude. What else does he need?
Right.
He has the TV set up in his room. He has his bed. He has a nightstand.
I have a water dish.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have my cereal bowl that's also my water cup. It works.
So, like, the most customer service oriented job I think I've had was at a Quiznos sub shop.
Ew.
You remember Quiz? Is that still a thing?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, it's not good.
No. And we're gonna
This
take
episode is not brought to you by Quiznos.
We're sponsored by Quiznos.
Oh.
Pee-pee. Poo-poo. But I've got like a lot of people might not know this. I've got severe hearing loss. And I've had it for a very long time. So it made operating in that kind of environment kind of tough.
Sorry. It's not funny, but because I know you and I know how you operate in this hard of hearing world that you live in, you don't necessarily ask people to clarify themselves. You're just going to assume what you heard. So I can't imagine the type of sandwiches you make.
Well, yeah. Well, but first, thank you for laughing at my disability.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But two, you're right. I mean, at some point, you feel like you're burdening someone by reminding them of, a difference in your ability. Mm-hmm. And so you don't want to hassle for yourself and for others, so you just roll with it, and absolutely it leads to some misunderstandings.
So, I don't have hearing loss at the level that you have hearing loss. I have a little bit of less hearing in one ear, but it doesn't seem to keep growing. I'm going to a specialist about it, but right now we're fine. Don't need hearing aids or anything like that.
Go further into your medical history. It's fine.
But now I do use it as an excuse whenever people are being rude to me. And especially, I will say, like, during COVID, because I tend to read lips a lot. And so during COVID, whenever people were wearing masks, I had a really hard time understanding people. But I remember one time I was at a rental car desk, and the lady behind the desk was wearing a mask. She was already mumbling, and then she was wearing a mask. And I couldn't hear what she was really saying. And in an airport situation, there's not good acoustics in the building. And I think she was getting frustrated with me. And I finally just stopped and looked at her and I said, ma'am, I have really bad hearing. I can't hear you. And her demeanor towards me changed. And she was like, oh, I'm sorry. And then she actually started to enunciate stuff. And I'm like,
You could have done this the whole time.
Yeah. And
No,
I'm like,
she was she's just like, we get each other. I don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. Let's just go through the motions, huh?
but I do use, really it's your disability. Like I have a little bit of hearing loss, but also I think it just comes with age. I tell people all the time that I'm like, oh, I'm hard of hearing. Could you speak up? Because not my number one pet peeve, my number two pet peeve is people mumbling.
What's your number one?
You're going to make fun of me.
I like that you corrected yourself. You've actually taken the time to rank, like, what do I hate most? And, like...
Yeah, that's what I do in my mornings. I think about what I hate most.
Coffee, pickleball, reading, having a good poop, and what you hate.
Yes.
Great.
The number one pet peeve of mine is whenever the music to a song starts and someone starts singing the lyrics before the actual lyrics start.
Can you give me an example?
No, because then I would hate myself. But yeah, so I've noticed it. My husband used to do this, and I've told him we're getting a divorce if you don't stop. So now he doesn't do it anymore. But I've noticed a couple of friends start to do it, and they don't know that that's my pet peeve. And man, nails on a freaking chalkboard, because I'm like, shut up. Like, one, you didn't write or sing the song. You're ruining it.
Wait, do you feel that way about people with singing along in time with the song?
No, I'm fine with that.
So you hear the first...
You hear the first few bars and you're like, I love this song. And they start singing. I'm like...
Man in the Box or something like that. You better not start saying, I'm the man in the box, until Elaine Staley says, I'm the man in the box.
Yeah, I need it to be on cue. Like, don't ruin this. That is my biggest pet peeve.
Good to know.
It's such a weird thing, right? I'm sure some psychologist out there is like, oh, we found the psycho.
Yeah. We don't even need to match the knife wounds. We know she did it. The Quiznos thing was tough because people would walk in. I mean, like, every experience, you know, like dining and retail, you got to pipe in music, for one. There's all this competing atmospheric noise. There's the noise of the stuff cooking and people working and people eating and people talking. So, no, yeah. At one point, a solicitor actually came in. Well, I say solicitor, but that sounds like some kind of official government position. It also kind of sounds like prostitution.
Like a lawyer.
Right. And
could be the same.
This guy was actually going and selling stuff out of a briefcase. Yeah, this was like in the...
Drugs?
Maybe. No, he was actually going around, and I'm not sure what the scheme was, what he'd gotten roped into, because it was like, what are you even doing? This is a bad idea. But he was going around to customers.
Oh.
Going like, just, you know, striking up a conversation with them, like, oh, that looks good, because at the time, Quiznos was new.
Well, just imagine him opening up this briefcase and be like, can I sell you some mayonnaise? Like the little mayonnaise packet.
Oh, just wait.
Oh, Lord.
At the time, Quiznos was a new thing. We were all familiar with Subway. It was a younger, more innocent time. We believed in Jared and what his experience was. Quiznos comes along and with an innovation in toasting the bread. And that was its big thing, you know, it was toasted sandwiches. And so he was walking around asking people, is that good? You know, like, wow, this is all new and exciting stuff, the latest in sandwich technology. What do you get? And start up a conversation. And, you know, this all came out like, you know, became clear what was going on after the fact. And I guess after a bit of conversation with them, he'd start to try to ply his wares. And he had a little sample case of whatever. He, you know, struck out with all the customers, obviously, because I'm here to try the latest in sandwich technology. Leave me alone. Mm-hmm. He figures, well, I'm going to get something to eat too. And in the course of ordering, he's also trying his pitch with the employees.
Oh, Lord.
Now, the way it worked, as a sandwich artist...
Don't call yourself that.
I'm very proud of it. You had 3 people on the line. 2 on this side, and 1 on the other side of the oven, through which the sandwich passed to get, you know, trademark toasted. On this side, you had somebody that would put, you know, the protein type stuff on there and work the bread. And then this person that did a few of the toppings that would be appropriate to put on the sandwich before it went through the toaster, and the various sauces. You do all that stuff. You put it all together as a team, and you put it on its little adorable little tray, and on it goes on a very slow journey through this oven on its own. Comes out the other side, this person does all the vegetables and junk, and they wrap it up and check you out and all that stuff. Comes, and I'm on the meat and bread side with this other dude. He comes up, this mysterious figure, and with my hearing going on, and because I'm just in the mode of you make sandwich, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do.
You're a sandwich artist.
I'm a sandwich artist. You can't really question the process.
I can, but okay.
So up he comes, and he's asking us, what he's asking us is, what kind of cologne do you guys like?
Please tell me you told him ham.
This guy thought he was asking something about the dressing. And so he answered Italian, which kind of works.
Yeah?
I thought he was asking something about the meat.
Yep.
So I said turkey. And he looked at me like I was not an artist.
How dare he?
I know. A different time, this is kind of unrelated to the hearing thing. A different time, a lady came up, and people want to know what's on the sandwich. They want to know what's on the ham, cheese, and lettuce sandwich. Because when people are hungry, they're really...
Not thinking.
Right. But she wanted to know what all was on it. We're going through the stuff. It's got this, it's got that, it's got this. I'd never heard the word oregano pronounced.
Oh.
Except one place at that time in my life. At least I don't think I did. Surely it was uttered around me, but maybe I didn't hear it right. But I do know I saw it as a visual gag on an episode of The Simpsons, and I thought, okay, well, the gag here is that this person's never seen this, spice, and so she doesn't know how to say it. She just doesn't know it. That's the gag. I didn't know that the gag was that she was mispronouncing it. And so I just say, as a sandwich artist, and this person's, wanting to know what all are you about to, ask me to put in my mouth. Well, it's got the ham and the cheese and the lettuce and oregano.
And she's wondering why you smell like turkey.
Right. She ordered a soup and left.
It is fancy there, oregano.
So kind of go back to what we were first talking about. Unrelated to recent events, Julie, if you were on the run from the law, how would you ultimately get caught? Where would you be when the fuzz finally comes down on you?
So here, okay. Jacob knows this. Some of our all of my family members know this. I have a healthy ego. I'm not going to get caught. I'm going to turn myself in because I'm like, you know what? 3 meals a day and a roof over my head that I don't have to pay for? Sounds great. Sign me up. I will just be like, Sheriff, I'm right here if you'll come and get me. Thank you so much. So I don't think it's going to be that I took a misstep. It's just I'm tired. Come get me. Is that fair?
That's fair. Yeah, you call me, you'll find me in the Lazy Boy store.
Yeah.
I just got to put my feet up for a second.
Yeah.
I'm good to put them up for, 10 to 15.
I'm the day of, I'm going to go get my pedicure, going to get my hair cut, maybe get a massage, and then I'll call and be like, hey, you can come get me. I'm done. Yeah. My car ran out of gas. I don't want to go shopping for new clothes. Honestly, give me a uniform. That way I don't have to pick out any more clothes for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you really don't have to take a lot of that, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, give me an hour out in the yard. Sounds great. That's probably more time I get outside than I do now working in my office. Yeah. Also, I'm very much aware prison is not a great place, but corporate America is not good either.
Well, point being that, Goodwill's doing something cool. There's a sheriff office out in California that does something that seems to be cool. Hopefully, there's not another shooter drop and we realize, oh, this is all horrible, but it sure seems like it's a really cool vocational program that is not only setting up people for success, after the fact with skills, but also with some hard-earned stuff. I think it's really cool. Again, another reason to kind of shout out Goodwill as a place to look at. It's a legit retail business now, and that'll be something I'll talk about at some later date. And we'll try to fit in some more pee poo poo.
No. Also, big shout out to the Sheriff's Department that's looking for ways of how do they rehabilitate prisoners before they're released, and looking for ways to connect with local companies and industries to give people maybe skill sets that they didn't have before they went into the system.
If this program goes well, they say they may look at expanding it into the men's correctional facility.
Yeah.
So it's something to keep an eye on. People can look it up. But yeah, it's cool stuff.
I love it. That's a good topic, Jake.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.